would like to do a couple of those assessments. Just look at some bodies. Let's just look at some people and see what people do and kind of figure out kind of what some compensations are. And, do me a favor, well, a couple things. So number one, we can find stuff with everybody, okay? So don't worry if your toe touch isn't perfect. Just don't overthink this, okay? Like I said, I could give someone an assessment right now because you've been sitting far too long. And it'll be very different than if you were up moving around on the floor with your clients and then I came and I assessed you afterwards. So don't overthink the findings. We're looking for like general overview and the opportunity to look at stuff. Number two, don't manipulate the test. It's not a competition, okay? So just say, yeah, I'm that client and I'm just gonna kind of do my thing and what would I naturally do and I'll walk everybody through it. I'm gonna do a couple people right now so we can kind of see what it looks like. And then three, just kind of have discussion with the person that you're with, okay? So I'd like to demonstrate some of those things that we did on the video. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. This is Kat with a fantastic handshake. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any injuries, ailments, or problems?
I've had ACL surgery, but that was a long time ago.
Long time ago?
Like 9 years ago.
Any issues still with it?
Kind of.
Okay, so can I tell them?
Yeah.
Okay, so left ACL surgery about 9 years ago. She remembers it. I asked any problems still, so every now and then it still gives her some...
funky.
Making a face.
Yeah.
Still not perfect, so, all right. So can you stand here for me?
Yes.
Great. And just march in place a couple times for me, please. Great, and then just stand for me, please. All right. So what we're gonna do is just look first, because that's what I showed you before, go through a couple of the assessments and just kind of tell us some of the observations. And what I'm gonna say is don't feel you have to sit, okay? Because we're gonna be using this floor space and all that stuff in a little bit anyway. So feel free to get up and move around a little bit. Okay, so number one, fit person, obviously, right? Strong stance, good body position. Okay? In this position, can you see this shoulder position and this rib and pelvis position, like we talked about? I'll say a little forward. Can you appreciate that? If I got the permission to touch her back. When I touch her back, she has a lot of muscle activity going on those back muscles. You feel that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we look at her curve from the side, Charlie, does she look like she has some thoracic rounding? I'm not testing. A little bit. It's called her scapula. Do you still see my hand? Not as much, right, Charlie? So can you appreciate that where there should be a little bit of thoracic kyphosis? It's flat. You were right, buddy. You were right, just to be clear. Not much, but a little bit. It's more forward with shoulder blades that step off into her thoracic. Okay? So what everybody appreciate is that that's kind of the back of the rib cage. Sorry. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's ideal. There is no, okay? It's like living in a vacuum. Thoracic kyphosis, which we're familiar with, correct? Which there should be, okay? Because that creates a roundness of the ribs on the back that allow the shoulder blade that's shaped like this. Oh no, oh no, oh no. To rest on that surface. Can you see that? Okay? That roundness and that roundness work well when they're well positioned with each other. And if I've got a rib cage that's more forwardly positioned, can you see that that's more compressed back here? And so that will create more, let's just say, expansion towards the front. Okay? I'm just trying to simplify it. Don't think. Just take a breath in. And can you see that she goes up? Okay, we're going to go over respiration this afternoon, but you're doing awesome. Thank you. Do that again for me, please. So a rib cage that can't expand, a thorax and abdomen region that can't expand, it will figure out a solution. So we'll lift it to allow air to get in versus expand it outward. With me? So these people have these neck muscles and these scalenes and the upper traps, you massage therapists, they're like, oh my gosh, these things are rock hard. If they're being used as your primary breathers, because other things aren't allowing things to do what they're supposed to do, they will absolutely take over. and haul that thing up and down all day long. And she's strong. So they're lifting weights for her as well, too. Okay?
Is that why I'm always so tight up here?
Probably. She said, is that why I'm always so tight up here? Yeah. So do it one more time for me, please. So these upper traps just like they're on anyway. Inhale, and you feel how tight they get, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole upper structure is lifting things to move air. And she's very strong doing it, okay? Can I put my hands on your midsection? Mm-hmm. Okay. So slowly take a breath in for me, please. And my hands, neither of them move outward. They just kind of stay right here. Can you see that? And if I have her try, go ahead and try. It's hard, right? And it feels wrong too, doesn't it? Her brain and her system and all of that are just not used to it. It feels like, oh my gosh, it's going to make me look fat. It's going to feel wrong. I'm not giving you. It does to her, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So her sense of self, her postural positioning, her behavior, her blah, 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 respiratory cycle is biased towards this more compressed state. So I showed you that person before, just as an example. So if I do this to Kat, bring your hips underneath you just a little bit. Sit right there for me. I'm going to push down. Take a breath in. Does it feel different? Mm-hmm. What feels different?
I feel like I'm having to go out more.
So all I did was I just create some compression downward. She feels like she has to go out more. Do it slow and easy, like 3 more times. I'm just going to keep blood pressure down. Good. There you go. It's getting a little easier now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I did not pay her to say that, I promise. Good. And now I don't have as much resistance now underneath my hands. Now she's got a little bit of give. Give me like 2 more for me. Great. See how it's slowing down? Mm-hmm. Good. And does it feel a little fuller too?
Yes.
Great. Almost calming?
Very.
I didn't pay her to say that either. So all they said was, does it feel like it's slowing down? Does it feel like it's a little fuller? Does it feel like it's calming? And it should, because we just allowed it to be able to create that shape change downward. We grounded her more. We took this strategy and just changed it a little bit, literally changed the position of her diaphragm inside and other structures to allow more things to fill, okay? Remember, and we talk about it more this afternoon, but inhalation's not just the lungs. They matter a lot. I want to be clear. Inhalation is, and that's the last thing we just talked about, expansion of a system. Compression is exhalation of getting rid of the CO2 and the dead air. Totally. But it's peristalsis, it's pelvic floor, it's voiding, it's all of these things that it needs to go through a more fuller excursion of open and close, okay? So you can even do that with your clients. Play with that a little bit if you can touch them. If you just see that, just say, let me just change something. Let them know what I'm going after. She'll be really happy if I come back and do this again. Kind of feels good, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Maybe not, I'm kind of creepy, but you get the idea. I mean, it probably feels like, oh, wow, holy cow, but she had no idea. That's almost every one of my clients. They just have no idea. They just get used to stuff. Thank you. Okay, so no, you're not done. Right. You're not done, you're good, you're awesome. So go ahead and put your feet together for me, please. Okay, so keeping your legs straight, I'm gonna have you round through your head and go down like you're gonna touch your toes as far as you feel comfortable. So she actually does pretty well. She does pretty well. You can see a little flattening here and a little flattening at the sacrum. Come on back up for me, please. Did you do yoga? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was a very yoga-ish toe touch. That's why I asked. Nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and do that again. So it's the fold that she's learned. She gets down, she's rounding her head down, letting it fold down, letting her arms come down. She's gained good length of her hamstring musculature. You can come back up. But you can see that it's not a great round down through that low back area because of what we just talked about before. Her inhalation strategy is compressive in nature and elevated versus expansive in nature. Can it make sense? Excuse me. Okay. So my note would be kind of like reduced rounding from lower thorax down to sacrum. excuse me, but excessive floor touch, just for myself to know what it was, not positive or negative, okay? All right, so we're gonna use the wall so people can see. So I'm gonna have you, sorry for the camera. She's going to barely touch the wall. She's not gonna lean into the wall, and she's not gonna back away from the wall, okay? So then what she's gonna do is she's going to bring one knee up to hip height, and then lower, and then she's gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. Great. Great. Now I'm gonna have you do that for you. And just make a note of what you see back there. And can you see that, I tell you, creases tell a story, right? They don't change much. They stay kind of like creased that way. Her balance is excellent. Her strength is awesome. Relax. She knows she's in front of everybody, so she's gonna make sure she nails it. But I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
She held her breath half the time. Normal. Normal. Because of the nervous system response saying, task at hand, I gotta hold my breath because I'll feel more stable that way. Diaphragm suddenly becomes a posture muscle because now it's pushing on stuff to hold her, which is fine. With me? So that I'm listening at the same time I'm looking. And I'm not gonna do the butt clench test because that doesn't really matter, I'm just kidding. But point being, you can see how taut all this stuff is back here, okay? So what I wanna have you do now is just to teach. You're going to exhale, and slowly bring one side up. Good. And then you're going to come down and slowly inhale. And do that 3 times on each side. So what I just said was I'm just showing her and having her feel something and seeing if you see something different. So I just said, just exhale, which is going to make space. It's going to allow movement to occur in the direction where she's restricted. A little different. So does that feel a little different? Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, relax for a sec for me, please. And now she'll have a tendency to kind of be a little more loose, probably just because she moved more. It wasn't as rigid in stance. Now I'm going to change it. Now I'm going to make it even harder. So now you're going to do the same thing again, and you're going to slowly inhale as you lift. Slow. Exhale and come down for me. This is not what I'd normally do. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like. And hard to get air in, right?
Yeah.
So there's no space enough for her to inhale. You can relax for me. Back here, for things to open enough when she goes to inhale when lifting to allow this to move back like that. I'm not just showing off. I just want to be clear, just to teach. She can't do it. We gave her one activity that you saw. Oh, great. She was able to move a little cleaner that way when we took the breath strategy away from her. But do you think that I want to do something that's going to get her to be able to be back here, create space, and open that up? Absolutely. That's absolutely what that's telling me. For 2 reasons. 1, the toe touch told me, because she's flat there. And 2, she can't move back there into that direction. I kind of think I know what her squat might's going to look like. Can you come out of here? Can you face that way?
Yeah.
Great. Great. And then go ahead and feet flat, keep your heels down the whole time, and squat as deep as you feel comfortable, hands out in front to counterbalance. Great. And then come on back up. And can you do that for me like 2 or 3 more times? Okay. And so can you see she's got a great hinge down there. Come on back up for me, please. Does that make sense to people? So she's got we could call it a straight back. I will not call that neutral. Please don't call that neutral. Okay? It's straight from her shoulders to her hip bones. Can you do it again for me? Mm-hmm. If you're fabulous, thank you. It's straight. Come on back up. Do you appreciate the difference between a straight position down there versus one that's allowed more flexion to occur? Okay? Do you appreciate the difference? Mm-hmm. Okay. You feel your quads work hard with that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you feel much glutes or hamstrings? Not much. Yeah.
Not a ton.
Yeah. Because she can't access them because the structures can't turn and rotate to get to positions where she can get them. If we put a band on her, would she get more feeling of it? Yes, she would. Guess what else would kick in more? Her VLs. Big time. You know what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Do you do band walks or glute stuff or anything like that? I'm not saying it's wrong to do it. I'm just making you think differently. So in an attempt to go after glutes, which is appropriate, putting something on, you might be increasing something that's already increased to begin with. Because it's like, yeah, I know what to do. No problem. I'll help rotate those femurs out for you. No problem. I know they're extenders, but they're also rotators. I'm not going to go down that road with you all. If you want me with that. So that's a lot of times when people are doing clam exercises or lateral walks or monsters or whatever that is, when you go to do it, which we'll do this afternoon, when you go to do it, that's totally fine, but just ask them what they feel working most. And if they're like, oh man, yeah, my quads are killing me out here, I'd think about giving them something different to do. Because then you're, in my mind, I say you feed the beast, right? And then you're feeding something that's probably already compensated because she's strong, don't move, her legs are locked, okay? What locks her legs? What straightens legs? Quads. Or hold her up. So she's going to access them as soon as she unlocks to go down. That's why she feels her quads work so much. Does that all make sense? I don't know what to do about any of this. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. But just how to think about things differently. And again, obviously, I can't get into all the nuances of corrective strategies. We'll go through some things this afternoon, but again, it's just to expose you to different ways of thinking about things and seeing when, like, oh, when I see that, maybe this represents something different than I'm used to. And then investigating it further. And then, again, that's why I have all these resources and other things which we'll go through, as well as a couple things this afternoon we'll go through. Do you back squat, front squat, goblet? What do you?
All of it.
All of it. Okay. Which do you like best? All of it.
Goblet, probably, but
Goblet. Okay.
all of it.
Yeah. What do you like about goblet?
I don't know. I like the positioning. I like the way that
Great.
my whole upper body feels.
Awesome.
I'd say front squat I like the least.
Okay.
Because I think, yeah, shoulder.
Yeah. Okay. So I asked her that on purpose. Think about her answers. You're doing awesome. I really didn't pay her to say this. This is perfect. What's the goblet squat do? Thank you for nodding. And expansion. Yeah. Opening her up. I like the way my upper body feels is what she said. Yep. It's doing what I did. Okay? Front squat's a problem because she's already here. So to bring those up and out, extends her further forward. And it's hard to get it in place here. But when she back squats, barbell, she's got room to anchor it because she's strong there. Am I making sense? Here, here, she can anchor it. Is that accurate? Okay. So would I take front squats away from her? If she were seeing me with problems, maybe for a few weeks, sure, absolutely. Then we'd goblet it like crazy and teach her other stuff. I mean, I wouldn't take everything away. So just think about and ask these questions and then say, okay, what compromise can I give them to allow them to continue to train or be active but not feel like I'm kind of limiting them? Because I mean, just the number of times I hear people come in and be like, oh yeah, the so-and-so said I really shouldn't do anything, or it's really unfortunate. I mean, that's an easy way out and not okay for most people. So do you have any questions of what we talked about with you?
No.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That was awesome. Yeah.
I want my done.
You're good for right now, yeah, because here's what we're gonna do. I'd love to have, got like 45 minutes or so, I'd love to walk through each of these, okay? I wanna have groups of maybe 3, if that's okay. I mean, 2's fine, but 2, 3, 4, because I want interaction. I want kind of like what each person sees and kind of like cycle through things. I'm gonna give you like about 10 minutes to do each of them. I'm gonna mill about a little bit here. I'll probably grab 1 or 2 of the other people who I know who kind of know some of this stuff and have you kind of give you a hand looking at people. Remember, questions that you have, ask me them at the time, and I'll probably bring them up at the end just before lunch so people kind of all hear them. Any questions of what we're working on? And I'll kind of walk you through each one for the first 10 minutes. If you got big heels on, get them off.